the NBA is tired of is the version of blackness that comes wrapped in chaos, stupidity, criminality, bad judgment, entitlement, and public embarrassment. Nobody wants to be associated with that. Hell, y'all don't even want to be associated with that. The league is tired of the ghetto being sold as the only authentic expression of black manhood. And that's why pattern recognition matters. When people keep seeing the same public behaviors and the same glorification of criminality, the same refusal to accept accountability, the same music, celebrating death, drugs, street beef, the same social media clips turning degeneracy into entertainment, they eventually stop treating it as isolated. They start recognizing a pattern. And once the pattern is recognized, the business world responds. That's not racism. It's marketing. We've seen this before. We're not paying for that headache. When repeated conduct is observable and documentable and repeatable, it becomes a pattern. And the proper response is to recognize it, not attack the people noticing it. The problem is that too many black people have been trained to defend the wrong thing. I said it. We defend the hood like it's sacred ground. We defend the struggle like it's some sort of certificate of authenticity. We defend public foolishness as keeping it real. Somebody type keeping it a buck in the chat room. We defend criminality as survival. Let me give you an example. A young man could get pushed and stab another young man in the chest in front of 21 people, a videotape, admit that he did it, and black people will still jump up and say, oh, no, he's innocent. He was railroaded. Somebody type railroaded. I'm just saying. So when I say we defend criminality as survival, that's what I mean. We defend ignorance as culture. And then we turn around and get offended with corporations and leagues and sponsors and schools and employers, and the rest of society start making decisions based on what we ourselves keep broadcasting. You can't put dysfunction on stage, call it entertainment, reward it with money, then pretend nobody has the right to notice what it produces. This is the part people don't want to hear. Other groups have poverty too. Shout out to all the poor Asians and poor whites and poor. Do you know how poor white people are in some parts of this country? They have criminals too. White people have a horrible drug addiction problem. Some of them on this broadcast snorting some meth right now. Shout out to all the meth heads in the chat room. Methany, Matthew, welcome to the broadcast. They got broken family hair. Our vice president comes from a drug addicted, broken family in a horrible neighborhood in social dysfunction. But see, here's the thing. They don't always make the poorest, most chaotic, most criminal, and most dysfunctional elements the face of their entire group. Poor white America, again, has a serious drug problem. Poor Asian communities exist. Poor immigrant communities exist. But their successful people aren't usually required to perform poverty to prove authenticity, are they? Their celebrities aren't usually forced to constantly remind everybody that they came from the worst place possible. But in Black America, too often, the person who speaks well, the person who marries, the person who builds wealth, raises children, who avoids the streets and acts professional, is treated like he's less than black. More so than the person who glorifies the bottom. And that's cultural suicide, family. Because once struggle becomes the standard of authenticity, success becomes suspicious. That's why y'all don't like Jay-Z. Right? Tell the truth. Shame the devil. Right? He's suspicious. Somebody type boule in the chat room. Somebody type sold out in the chat room. Huh? That's what you said. Am I lying? Once you get past a certain threshold of wealth, you automatically become suspicious in the Black community. And see, once ghetto behavior becomes a proof of real Blackness, discipline becomes acting white. Education becomes selling out. Marriage becomes respectability politics. Business ownership becomes capitalism. And accountability becomes hating on your own people. That's how a community psychologically traps itself at the bottom and then gets angry when the world treats the bottom like that's your brand. And this is exactly what happened with music and media. Where's the lie? Do we need to go over this in public? Do I need to remind you all? Huh? Y'all say hip hop didn't create the ghetto. I don't care what you say. Y'all say hip hop created the ghetto? So you telling me we wasn't acting in ghetto and doing all that crazy shooting and killing and whatnot before hip hop? Hip hop popped up in 1980, got hot around about the 1985 or so. But let me tell you what hip hop did do. It packaged it. It turned local street values into national entertainment. It took neighborhood dysfunction. It took in-house dysfunction and put it on a beat. And y'all been dancing to it. And then social media took it even further. It took it worldwide. And reality TV, that reality television, fight clips, viral disrespect, drill rap, public brawls, performative ignorance. It turned destruction into content. And street culture became profitable. Then social media turned the volume up to 10, projecting those values in the mainstream Black American culture everywhere. And now the NBA has to evaluate young men who grew up inside that cultural noise. That's the point. The league isn't just asking whether a player can score. It's asking what kind of cultural operating system is running inside that young man's head. Does he believe discipline is corny? Does he believe the street is more authentic than the boardroom? Does he believe loyalty to bad friends matters more than loyalty to his future? Does he believe being coached is being controlled? Does he believe crashing out proves manhood? Does he believe a gun, a gold chain, and a fine woman and an expensive car or a social media post is worth more than a second contract? And that's why the NBA is searching the world, because the league is looking for talent without the cultural headache. It wants athletic ability without the crash out mentality. Somebody type crash out mentality. It wants charisma without criminality. It wants confidence without ignorance. It wants that edge without stupidity. It wants young men who understand that professionalism isn't weakness, and it wants players who know that structure isn't oppression. It wants players who can be coached, corrected, marketed, trusted, and developed. And if the league can find that in Europe, Africa, Canada, Australia, or anywhere else, Mars, Pluto, the back of the moon, that's where the money's going. And we better stop pretending that this is just anti-blackness or racism. It isn't anti-black. It's not race. You see? I mean, when is it anti-black to say the hood isn't the definition of blackness? It isn't anti-black to say that criminality is not our culture. It's not anti-black to say public disorder is embarrassing. And it's certainly not anti-black to say this drill rap has helped turn real murders into marketing campaigns.